All right, so we're continuing the 2022 spring break trip, and one of the things that people want to know is how does it compare with pre-COVID times to post-COVID? And so there was actually a lot of good positive things here.
Okay, I'm listening.
The crowds were lower. When we were at Universal, as you'll see in one of the other videos, it was ridiculous the level of crowds. Just watch that video because I'll have some pictures on that. But it was very crowded, and I was scared to death for what Disney was going to be like because we were at Universal that Saturday, Sunday, Monday of spring break, and then going to Disney, and each day it got busier and busier, and I was scared to death for this.
Yeah.
But when we got to Disney, it was surprisingly sparse and spread out, and I feel like there's more walkways at Disney than there are at Universal.
So Universal doesn't have a reservation
No,
right now.
they have no reservation system, so anyone decides I'm going to go to the park, they can go to the park.
Okay.
Disney World, one of the post-COVID changes is the park reservation system, which they have already said is not going away. I know.
That's stressful too.
So you need to make sure if you have tickets to Disney World, what you have to do is get tickets and then go to park availability and reserve which park you and your entire party are going to that day. And so what you really need to do is go to park availability before you book your trip and make sure there's even dates available.
Yeah.
Then go buy your tickets, then come back and reserve. And you will need to put down all the people in your party. So if you have kids, you need to make a little profile for them that's attached to your friends and family list. And then choose that entire party and say, on this day we're going to Hollywood Studios, this day we're going to Magic Kingdom. And what really stinks about that is you can't change afterwards.
Yep.
For example, halfway through the planning for our trip, we decided let's add a half day at Animal Kingdom the day we fly out from Orlando.
Oh.
You know what the downside of this is? By the time we decided this, Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios were already completely booked up, which meant we can't change our reservations that have to do with Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom, or we will lose and not be able to go at all.
Right.
So whereas our final day at the park would have been watching the fireworks at Magic Kingdom and then waking up late the next morning and preparing to go to the airport, was now a staying at Magic Kingdom, which is open the latest out of any of the parks, and the next day going to the park that opens the earliest of any of the parks. And so we decided not to rope drop Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
Which was, for me, that's like heartbreaking.
I know.
But it helped that Everest wasn't there.
Right.
So it does change it, because if there was not a park reservation system, I could have just told Candace, let's go to Magic Kingdom the day before, and we'll go to Hollywood Studios or Epcot that last night, because we'll be out of there by 9 and get a little bit more sleep, and we could still rope drop. But because of park reservation, you can't do that. So you have to do that. You have to lock it in, make sure it goes through. It'll show up on your My Future Plans and the My Disney Experience and My Disney Experience app. But it is something that you really do need to do. So that's the biggest change. The other one is park hopping. Now, you usually do park hopping, right?
I love park hopping. Park hopping allows you to start your day at one park of your choosing. And my husband loves Primetime Cafe, which is over in Hollywood Studios. And he wanted to go eat lunch there again after we had ate lunch there one time. So say we were at Magic Kingdom or something, we just kind of hopped on a bus and went over and had lunch, and then we could have either stayed in Hollywood Studios or went back or went to a different park. It was such a luxury, because if you were experiencing high crowd levels in one park, you could be like, let's just come back tomorrow, let's go to another park. You could look on the crowd calendars and see that there was hardly anybody in the next park over, and just jump over there and enjoy that park for the rest of the day and try again tomorrow or whenever. They don't have that luxury anymore. You have to wait till, is it 1 or 2? 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you can go, granted, if the park has an open reservation, to the
I think
next
they have
park.
changed that. It used to be if there was an open reservation.
Okay.
You could do that, but there was no because there was no availability for any park by the time we got there, and there were still people that park hopped.
Okay, so
I
you
think
can still
that
park hop no
requirement's
matter
done.
what.
You
if
just
you
have
buy
to wait
it.
till 2, which is why. If they've
Mhm.
removed the whole park availability thing
Yes.
and they're all full, what does it matter if you're waiting until 2 o'clock? I don't know. We did not park hop this time. This was the first time
I'm still debating on if I will.
because it was a big expense.
Mhm.
It would have added an extra $360-ish to our trip just for park hopping. And when you're park hopping and half the parks are only open till 9 o'clock and you can't leave till 2, and then you have to figure out transportation there, it takes a while for buses.
Yep.
Now, this was studios going to Epcot, no problem, 20 minutes maybe with the Skyliner.
Well, I have a question about Genie Plus and park hopping. Could you schedule a ride through Genie Plus in a separate park and then park hop over to use that? Or do you have to buy Genie Plus for the park you originally reserved for the day?
You can change it. I think the requirement is you have to have park hopping availability. So I couldn't have done it because I didn't have park hopping
Right.
on my tickets, but I think I'm 95% sure that you can use it at the other parks. I'm not for sure if you have to be scanned in at that park before you can use it or not, but I believe very much so that you can do that.
Well, I just think that Genie Plus plays a huge factor in whether or not to get park hopping also this time, because Genie Plus in itself is so scheduled and there's no bending it at all that you're basically stuck where you're at. And if you've got Park Hopper and you can't leave the park that you're already in due to Genie Plus scheduling that you've already made in arrangements, then you've paid for Park Hopper for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, our 3 park hop or lightning lane times were 11:55 and then after 8. What am I going to do? Wait until 2 o'clock, go to another park for 2 hours just to come back to that park?
Right. And the thing about it is that you don't know when these rides are going to be available for your lightning lane time. Like, you just get on the app and what they have is what they have. You can't schedule your time.
I mean, and you're like glued to your phone, like refresh.
So stressful, man.
So park hopping is one of those other big changes. Probably the most other recognizable change are character meet and greets. There is no hugging a princess. There is no hugging even the fully costumed, have their mouths and noses covered up by these giant heads for Winnie the Pooh or Stitch or whoever.
Mickey Mouse.
Or Mickey Mouse. And most of the times they have some ropes that are out front and they have a little spot that says stand here for a selfie. And so you stand there and there are no photo pass photographers there for any
characters?
meet and greets. For any character meet and greets. Any of the ones we went to. There was no one there for Stitch, Pluto, Goofy, even Red Carpet Dreams, where they had Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey for the first time. Did not have a photo pass photographer.
That is wild.
The cast members would, if there was a cast member there, like at Red Carpet Dreams, they would take a picture with your phone, so it didn't have to be a selfie, but they wouldn't volunteer that information. We had to actually ask, can you do this? And then they said yes. And so I think those are kind of the biggest things, at least the biggest negative things.
That flows right into Memory Maker.
Right.
Which is another add-on purchase for your trip, Memory Maker. We've talked about it in another episode, but
$169, I think, if you buy it ahead of time.
Yes, and that's for your family. For every day that you're in the parks, you get all your ride photos. You get to experience all of the magic photos that they have throughout the park, which are, if you find a photographer in front of the castle, in front of like where Merida is, usually with characters like we're talking.
Merida was not there at all the whole time. I know.
You get those photos.
I guess they won't let her back into the country after COVID.
Well, I mean, she does live where? Is it Scotland?
Sure. I've never seen that movie.
What?
I know. I'm horrible.
That's it. Cut the show. We're done.
I got my limit of one redhead on Disney. So, but no, I mean, that's the Memory Maker. And I found out some new things this time about it.
Okay.
Over in Disney Springs, there is actually a green screen photo area near the World of Disney, right behind Ghirardelli's, where you can go in and if you have Memory Maker, they will just take your pictures, and it's all green screen stuff. So you have the effects behind you. They had one with the kids flexing and had
Oh, neat.
Encanto, the
Okay,
strong
yeah.
sister, Luisa.
Louisa, yep.
There we go.
Yep.
I have seen that movie.
I was about to say.
But they do all that, and so you can, if you have Memory Maker, you can use it there even though it's not a park. And the way it works with Memory Maker is you buy it, and at some point you're going to activate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took our pictures, and I could open the app and I could see the photos in there.
Mm-hmm.
They had the watermark on it and everything, and I could click the Activate Memory Maker. From the moment you click Activate Memory Maker, you can use it for 30 days. So if we went back to Disney World right now, I could still use that same Memory Maker purchase to do more photos as well.
That's pretty cool.
And then you
Didn't know
have
that.
so many days afterwards to download them all at once on your
Right,
computer
and then they all disappear after that.
or through the app. And it's neat. There are some other changes I feel like that are positive since COVID.
Okay.
The crowds are lower. Like I said, I've been a lot of times in recent years in modern Disney, I guess, since they've opened up New Fantasyland. We'll call that the modern Disney era. We have gone a week or two before Thanksgiving. We've gone over New Year's, like from January 2nd through the 5th.
Crowds or what?
We went the week after Memorial Day.
Oh.
And we went the first week of August. And then this year was spring break. And this was the lowest crowds we've had.
That's shocking.
It was more crowded 2 weeks before Thanksgiving in 2015 than it was at spring break. And I think it's because of the park reservation system. And they have gone on record and said we'll never return to pre-COVID capacities. So they lower their capacities. The issue is then that I don't think they have as many employees. I don't think they're running as many ride vehicles, especially on some of these roller coasters. So the wait times don't really reflect that there are fewer people. However, I will say this. This is the only time I've ever not been stressed out about walking through New Fantasyland, a.k.a. Stroller Parking Lot Central.
Okay.
It was very easy to navigate through there, and that's usually where, if you're going to lose a kid, that's where you lose them, as they lose their grip on your hand when you're walking, or you just turn your head for a second. So there are some pluses to that. It was definitely less crowded feeling than Universal was.
Okay.
So some of the other changes, I don't think these are COVID related, were that in the past they would have early or late magic hours for resort guests. And it would be at a particular park for opening and a different park for closing. So maybe an hour early at Hollywood Studios and an hour late at Magic Kingdom. And on the late hours, once they hit a certain time, they would scan your Magic Band before you got in line for anything to make sure you were a resort guest. For the early ones, it was simply you got so far into the park, and they would scan you either before you got through the turnstiles or somewhere around Main Street Hub on the way to Tomorrowland or Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom's case. Now, it is done away with for the selected parks, and it is everywhere 30 minutes early. Which doesn't seem like a lot, and it's not. However, at Hollywood Studios, they were not supposed to open early until 8 o'clock. They started letting people in at 7:30. At Epcot, they weren't supposed to start letting people in until 8 o'clock. They started letting people in at 7:40. We didn't find out what it was at Animal Kingdom, but at Magic Kingdom, they weren't supposed to start letting people in until 8:30, and they started letting people in at 8:30. Like, we got there early, and we're standing in line waiting for them to open, and like everyone's got to go to the bathroom, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you've been waiting so long for buses and all this, you got to go to the bathroom. You're like, well, it's 8 o'clock, and at any second they're going to be opening this up because everywhere else is opened at least 20 minutes early, and then like, nope, you're going to open right on the dot. So then you're like, Slinky Dog Dash. You're like, oh,
like, I gotta go get another line, but I can't.
So those are the biggest changes I could think of. For actual park operations, there's other things. Supply chain issues are awful right now for Disney.
Oh, yeah.
If you want a headband like what you are wearing right now, you are in luck because you will have absolutely zero problems finding a headband. They are everywhere and so many different styles. when we were there, we wanted to get new ears, at least for Gunner, maybe for me, maybe
Yeah.
for Brooklyn. Brooklyn found some really cool Stitch ears at World of Disney.
Mhm.
That was the only place we saw those. Outside of that one set of ears, your options were original black ears, like not even with like the logo on the top. I think it was just plain black.
Mm.
The 50th anniversary ears, which are a lot smaller and have the iridescent colors on them and are kind of blue.
Those are so pretty.
Um,
When he's talking about ears, you're talking about like the caps. Right?
like yeah,
The cap.
these would be Mickey ears.
Right.
You have so you had the 50th, you had the original black, and you had bride and groom. That was it. Sorry, R2D2 ears, but we already own R2D2 ears, so there was no C3PO, no Buzz Lightyear, no Woody.
Now, do they still do where you can purchase your original classic black ears and they have a little embroidery system there that you could get your names or whatever you wanted embroidered on it?
It is, but it's no longer free to have them embroidered. Like it is now pay for that.
How much is it? Do you know?
I'm not for sure. I didn't look at that. Somewhere between, I'm sure, $8 and $15.
Oh.
Yeah. And the big circus shop over there at Magic Kingdom, over by Barnstormer and Dumbo, basically empty now. There's hardly anything in there except for some food items.
Oh, wow.
Candace spent about 2 minutes in that store.
Wow.
And she can shop, so 2 minutes there is a record. Sorry, honey, I had to say it.
He said it, not me.
So those are some of your COVID changes.
Okay.
And of course, masks on transportation for monorails and buses and any closed ships. Skyliners, they actually removed the mask requirement while we were there.
Yeah, I
The
noticed that.
first day there, they announced that starting the next day, you wouldn't have to wear it on Skyliner. But by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they were telling us you don't have to wear it. I guess they decided if you're not going to have to do it tomorrow, what's the point of doing it
for real,
today?
huh? Yeah, good on them.
So COVID got the memo and it knew it wasn't allowed anymore.
Yeah, obviously.
But still had to do it on bus. And if you don't have a mask, they will give you a mask. Don't worry about that. They are happy to give you a mask. Our bus driver one time going to the Magic Kingdom wouldn't wear a mask. But
really,
the 6 of us on that bus, because we didn't get to Magic Kingdom for rope drop the first day. So there were only 6 of us on a bus, and all of us had to wear one, but the bus driver wasn't.
Oh.
So,
how about that?
So that's kind of your big changes there. So if you're wondering how all that works, those are your changes. Oh, no, one other thing. A lot of places are mobile ordering only.
I was going to ask about how you did with food.
And again, Studios gets an F on this. We went to Pizza Rizzo's over there by Muppet Vision. Oh, boy. I put the order in. We are here for the order. Still waited about 15, 20 minutes for them to pop up and say your order was ready. Go to mobile pickup number 5. I went there. There were 5 people in front of me. The line was moving slow. By the time I got to the front, it actually had told me that I didn't get there quick enough to get my food, that it had expired. Thankfully, it was still sitting there. But Columbia Harbor House at Magic Kingdom, we clicked the button, we're here, and like 30 seconds later it said your food is ready. I walked straight up to the counter. They handed me my food. It was a piece of cake.
Oh, wow.
And some of them will let you order in a normal line, but there's one line and it is extremely long.
Okay.
And some places like Flaming, the Flaming one in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah. Flame Tree?
There we go.
Yeah.
Flaming. That one is mobile order only, and I'm sure there are others as well.
Do you get to sit in their dining area?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is one change. Early in COVID, my parents said last year you could not go inside to find a seat until they told you your order was ready. Now, as long as they could see that you at least had reserved a time, they would let you in and find a spot. And it was a lot easier to find a spot than it had been in the past.
Okay.
But my recommendation would be plan ahead. Get your first lightning lane so you know when your first return time is, and then instantly go in and order, because, again, it will only give you availability at certain times for mobile ordering.
Okay.
And we forgot about this at Animal Kingdom, and we wanted to eat at the Flame Tree, and the earliest availability was going to be like 40 minutes later. So we went to Pizza Safari because it had availability.
Pizza Safari? That's a crime.
I know.
Don't eat Pizza Safari.
I was also trying to kill a little bit of time for a surprise for my family that I'll tell you about later.
Question again, I have one more question on dining. What percent of restaurants would you say are open in little food carts in each?
There were a lot of them.
There was a lot of
pretty
options.
much everywhere we wanted to go was open.
Mhm.
You know, in Magic Kingdom, Columbia Harbor House, the Crystal Palace was
Mhm.
open. Casey's was open. Sleepy Hollow, the little place over in Tomorrowland.
Okay.
Just about all that was open, especially at Epcot. We were there in Flower and Garden Festival, so there were
Okay.
like carts everywhere.
Food booths everywhere?
Yeah, and the place down by Soarin', where it's kind of like a
Oh,
food
yeah.
court
Mhm.
area, that was actually no mobile ordering, only stand in line.
Oh, okay.
And it actually went really quick. It was almost 8 o'clock by the time we ate,
Yeah.
but it wasn't bad.
Okay.
I had it was called like the land mass or something like that. It was like a pulled pork just covered in barbecue sandwich. It was so good.
Oh, wow.
I
Yum.
almost made my sixth so I could try and get a second one. So those are some of your changes that you've got, and most of these I hope will change as time goes on. Character meet
Yeah.
and greets have got to be this close to going back to normal because they have in Disneyland Paris.
Yep.
They've got people hugging Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Thankfully, they didn't go back to normal the day after we got back, so that would have been extremely
Oh.
heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
But just be prepared for some of these changes, and you can still have an enjoyable time. I know I've gone on a lot about negative things on all these little videos today, but it was still very enjoyable. I still had a smile on my face. I still want to go back.
Mhm.
I just want them to be better. I'm negative because I have seen it both ways, and I know the decisions that can be made.
Mhm.
I just don't think men like Chapek and Josh D'Amaro are making any of those decisions that benefit anything other than their pocketbook. Come at me.
Yeah, same. I back him. I'm with him.
So, but those are your changes. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you check out the others for this trip, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.